Hi everyone! This one is another recipe that just amazed me. I'm talking about homemade butter. Yeah, homemade butter. If I knew it was gonna be this simple, I would have started making my own butter a long time ago. But oh well, better late than never. We only need 2 ingredients. Well, if you don't want to add salt to it, then it will be just one simple ingredient. How simple does that sound? Also, it only takes like 10 minutes to be ready. So you have the option to make it by hand or to use a food processor, but I like to get my workout done, so I'm about the shaking. That's the original old-fashioned way anyways, right? So that's what I'm gonna show you right now. As I said before, we only need 2 ingredients, or if you want to skip the salt, it's just one. We need 35% whipping cream, heavy cream, or however it's called at your supermarket. This time I got the 473 milliliters carton. I want to remark here that the cream has to be at room temperature. The first time I ever made butter, I just grabbed it from the fridge and it literally took me about 25 minutes of shaking. It's usually supposed to take about 10 minutes. And we need salt. For this amount is about 1/4 teaspoon. We are going to need some tools. The main thing is a mason jar with an airtight lid. And please make sure there's enough space in it to shake the cream. We are also going to need a strainer and a bowl to put the buttermilk when it's split from the butter. We need cheesecloth to squeeze the buttermilk out of the butter when it's ready. This one is optional, but I use parchment paper or plastic film to wrap the cheesecloth when I'm squeezing the butter to get less dirty and less greasy hands during the process. The first step is to pour the heavy cream into the mason jar. Again, making sure there's space for the cream to move. I would say the jar has to be about halfway full. We're going to add the salt if you decided to add it. Now we're going to close the lid, making sure it's very tight so there won't be any spilling when we're shaking. Now my favorite part. Shake, shake, shake. The shaking. After shaking for about 2 minutes, this is how it's going to look like. It's starting to look more dense and creamier. Now let's go back to shaking. You know, this is mostly how I keep my arm muscles and do a bit of cardio too. After about 4 minutes of shaking, this is how it's going to look like. It's starting to look more solid now, but we have to keep shaking. After 6 minutes of shaking, as you can see, it's starting to look very solid already, and you can start feeling proud of your work. But it is not ready yet, so let's get back to it. One last push, come on! And after 8 minutes of hard work, we already got the buttermilk separated from the butter, as you can see here. The timing could change depending on a few factors. As I mentioned before, the temperature of the cream is very important. My first time was a bit crazy because it was too cold, so it took about 25 minutes and my poor arms were getting tired by the end. Also, the strength you use to shake the mason jar could increase or decrease the time. The stronger, the sooner it will be ready. Now, we're going to place the cheesecloth on top of the strainer to get rid of all the liquid. We're going to pour the butter and the buttermilk onto the cloth. So now we're going to wrap it and try to squeeze the liquid out as much as we can. You can use the parchment paper if you want to avoid a bit of the grease stuck on your hands. But again, this is optional. Here's the buttermilk. You can keep this for baking another time, or you can just throw it out. Funny fact is, I always made buttermilk by adding vinegar or lime to milk, and I never connected the dots on why it was called buttermilk. I just thought it was a random name. But since I learned that it's the liquid obtained from butter, everything makes so much sense now. We're going to let cold water run until it gets very cold, and we're going to rinse our ball of butter. You're going to notice that as we keep doing this, more buttermilk comes out. And we have to get rid of this as much as we can. Keep it squeezing. We are going to unwrap the butter ball and going to rinse it straight under the water. Now we're going to transfer the butter into a small bowl or wherever you want to store it. We can use a paper towel to dry any more buttermilk that comes out at this point. And our butter is ready. And what better compliment to butter than fresh buns from the oven? Let's try the texture. Yes, it's nice and creamy. And of course, now let's taste it. Did you see how easy it is to make homemade butter? I never buy it from the store since I learned how to make it. Please subscribe, like, and share the video if you liked it. And thanks for watching!